About the three changes. Daniel was working at a large, well-known company, a hard-working guy who was dedicated to his job. Daniel didn't come from a wealthy family and didn't go to a good college. But he was a good person who worked harder than anyone else to succeed. However, Daniel's life wasn't all sunshine and roses. Daniel had to stay late in the office every day. For a month to finish a project that was behind schedule. His boss at work, who disliked him because he graduated from a local university, gave him more and more work, making it almost impossible for him to complete the project on time. One day, his bad-tempered boss asked Daniel to come to the office on a Saturday to clean and organize the office. She was 40 years old, never married, and had a very grumpy face with a lot of anger on her face. She pointed out every detail and made him redo his work several times until it was to her liking. This bad-tempered boss often sent Daniel on personal errands, such as running coffee and lunch errands and dropping off dry cleaning. Daniel was unhappy about these things, but he had to do them in order to keep his job. This boss would often criticize his work in front of other employees for being less than perfect. Or he would make Daniel work long hours and not give him vacation or lunch breaks. This left Daniel exhausted, stressed, and physically and mentally drained. He was burned out and felt like he was losing his sense of self. One day while browsing a bookstore, Daniel stumbled upon the works of Friedrich Nietzsche, and was intrigued by the philosopher's thoughts on the three transformations of the mind: the camel, the lion, and the child. Finding himself in the camel's form, the modern-day equivalent of Nietzsche's figure of the man who carries the burdens of others and lives a life of drudgery, Daniel was devastated. The life he had worked so hard and so well to build was being denied him. Daniel wanted to learn more, so he left the book club and met people unlike any he had ever met before. They were free-spirited, bold, and lived life on their own terms. They were deeply interested in his story, and encouraged him to break free of the constraints that were holding him back. Daniel was skeptical of their words at first, but as he got to know them better, he began to realize that they had a point. They convinced him that he was not just a worker, but a person with his own passions, desires, and goals. They encouraged him to live his life with the strength and courage of a lion, taking control of his own life. Daniel was inspired by their words and began to take action. He set goals for himself and began to work toward them with determination. He no longer let others' opinions sway him, but followed his own intuition. He learned to stand up for himself and assert his boundaries. He began to live with purpose and passion, always striving to be the best version of himself, and he became a better version of himself. Sometimes, like a lion, he had to hurt others in order to achieve better results. But Daniel comforted himself that it was necessary for greater success. One day, while Daniel was working on a big project, his mean boss called him into her office. She told him that he wasn't living up to her expectations and that his work was falling behind. She threatened to fire him if he didn't pull himself together. Daniel was shocked and his confidence began to crumble. And his co-workers, who had gotten along well with him up until this point, became jealous of his newfound success and started spreading bad rumors about him behind his back. They said he was arrogant and a very conceited person who said he was superior to everyone else. Daniel was faced with a difficult decision: give in to the sabotage, or overcome it and continue his journey to live like a lion. He chose the latter and refused to be swayed by the negativity and intimidation of others. Daniel continued to work hard, assert himself, and prove that he was a person of integrity and strength. Over time, Daniel's hard work and determination paid off. He was promoted to a higher position within the company, and became one of the most respected and popular employees. Finally, he was living life on his own terms, always striving to be the best version of himself. Daniel never forgot the lessons he learned along the way, and continued to live his life with courage, strength, and purpose. He was proud of his accomplishments and his growth, and grateful for the journey that had brought him to this point. He went from being a mere camel carrying other people's burdens on his back to a confident, fearless lion carrying only the burden of his own goals. Always striving to be the best he could be. Daniel had been living the life of a lion for several years. He had embraced his strength and power and was taking control of his life and career. He was proud of who he was and the success he had achieved. But despite all of this, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing, and he saw himself doing whatever it took to succeed. And he saw himself as a lion cruelly tearing apart its prey. One day, he received a call from an old friend from his camel days, who was struggling in his life and career and had reached out to Daniel for advice. As he talked with his friend, Daniel realized that while he had changed and grown, he wasn't creating any new value in the world. It occurred to him that while he was more successful and upwardly mobile than his friend, who was living the life of a camel, he was still operating in the world's mold. Daniel was filled with emptiness and confusion. What was the point of working so hard to become a lion if he couldn't make a difference in the world? He began to reflect on his life and his choices, looking for a way to add value and meaning to his existence. That's when Daniel remembered what Nietzsche had said about the third transformation. The transformation of the child. The child was a symbol of innocence, creativity, and the ability to create new values. Daniel realized that this was the missing piece in his journey, the final change he needed to make to live a truly fulfilling life. Daniel threw himself into his work to find new and innovative ways to create value for himself and others. He embraced his inner child and unleashed his creativity and passion for life. He took risks and pursued his dreams without fear of failure or mistakes. Daniel's transformation was not without its challenges. There were times when he felt lost and uncertain, but he never lost sight of his goals. He continued to work hard, persevere, and always strive to be the best version of himself. Eventually, Daniel's hard work paid off. He became a leader in his field, developing new and innovative solutions to improve the lives of others. He was appreciated and respected by his peers. And he finally found the purpose and meaning he had been missing in his life. Daniel had completed his final transformation from camel to lion and now to child. He lived a life full of purpose, creativity, and joy, always striving to create new value in the world. He was proud of who he had become and grateful for the journey that had brought him to this point. Daniel told people the story of how he became a camel, how he became a lion, and how he became a child, so that everyone can enjoy the joy of creating new things like a child.